welcome you all for today's weekend wisdom session conducted by Pyramid Valley International. Today we have Mr. Vamsi Krishna with us, who is going to share his wisdom about becoming supernatural. For a lot of people, it might look different. We always keep hearing it is good to be natural, and people always say be actually as natural as possible. But today we are going to know about what is becoming supernatural. So I invite Mr. Vamsi. So Mr. Vamsi has begun his meditation in the year 2002. From then onwards, being an engineer, he dedicated his life for building pyramids. And pyramids are the gateways to receive the cosmic energies on this earth planet. So Vamsi, being a civil engineer and helping supporting the pyramid movement by creating lot and lot of pyramids all over the world. So he is a meditation teacher by passion, and he has been teaching thousands of people about the benefits of meditation. He has built a huge pyramid in the country Bali of Indonesia. He has constructed pyramids in Malaysia and lot many places in India. My dear friends, he has been one of the great member in the construction of the Egypt pyramids in one of his incarnations. So I am glad to welcome him, and today let us hear from him. We welcome you, Vamsi.
Welcome, Masters. Very happy morning. My name is Vamsi Krishna. I'm from Chennai. By profession, I'm a civil engineer. And I have completed my education in 2002 as a diploma in civil engineering. Later on, I have joined an NGO called Shelter Promotion Engineering and Research Council, where they do innovation in low-cost housing. And they were doing, and we were doing in that organization, in a pyramid shape. When we build a house in a pyramid shape, that pyramid will, take care of all natural calamities, and it will stay standard, and it will not collapse when we are undergoing a lot of natural calamities, like especially like earthquake. So we went to Northeast India, Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, and we used to educate science and technology department of the respective state governments in association with the local NGOs. And that is how I was doing my research on pyramids in terms of technically. And when I was traveling back to Andhra, my native, uh, so I heard for the first time, somebody came and coming to me and asking me for a pyramid project. Then I told people, what is the use of pyramid in Andhra Pradesh, because Andhra is not prone to earthquakes. So then I was introduced to meditation. And previously in my life, I used to do meditation, but not seriously. But after coming to Pyramid Society, I understood what is meditation and what is the link between the pyramids and meditation, and how this pyramid is helping us in every walk of life in terms of impact on the mind changes and all those things. And after listening to Patriji's speeches and reading a lot of his recommended books, and I came to understand that every human is unique with a unique energy signatures, and everybody has a capacity to impact life within themselves and life outside. I mean, in terms of they can impact any people. So in this regard, I used to do a lot of research on pyramids, and as well as a lot of reading a lot of books and educating people since 2002 till now. Traveled 7 countries so far, and constructing pyramids. especially in Indonesia, Malaysia, and India. So since 2002, I was doing meditation, and I was initially in the initial days, I was not able to do meditation for more than 20 minutes. Later on, I have read one book called Living with the Himalayan Masters by Swami Rama. There, somewhere in the book, or after reading the book, and or while reading the book, I was searching for some information in the internet. Then I have seen one information. There are many Himalayan yogis, many Himalayan masters doing meditation for hundreds of years, thousands of years, lakhs of years. And then I got a one thought. If those people are doing thousands of years, sitting on one place and spending so much of enormous amount of time to realize or to learn some knowledge which are not readily available for the physical senses when we are not doing meditation. So there is something which so-called a human mind cannot perceive, because human mind is very, 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 very limited. And then I thought, okay, if not knowledge, at least I will sit for meditation at least for 24 hours at a stretch. Later on, I could not able to do 20 minutes. Then I understood mind is not really helping me, and body is not really supporting me. So let me tune my body, tune my mind to sit for 25 minutes at least. So like that, every week I used to keep on increasing 5 minutes, 5 minutes. So from 20 minutes, 25, 35, 45, something like that. And over a period of time, 1.5 years or nearly some 2 years, I have prepared myself to sit for meditation continuously in a single stretch for 12 hours. And later on, I got a thought, I think, let me give it a try for 24 hours. Then I sat in a pyramid in Chennai along with 7 people from Saturday night 10 p.m. to till Monday morning 10 a.m. So it's almost like 36 hours. So I was forced to get up from meditation. If I was not disturbed, I would have, I don't know how much time I would have been there in that meditative state. But for that 36 hours is just like something like 10 minutes for me. So slipping from, we have our own understanding. Everybody has their own understanding on time and space. What is time and what is space? But when we are into meditation, when I have seen personally, we can skip the timelessness. I mean, we can skip the time and we can enter into the timelessness. The moment you are in the timelessness and you don't find it, and when you come out of your body, I mean, when you come out of your biological identity and you're remaining as a pure consciousness, pure awareness, and when you are in that state of being, it is very easy for you to come out of the so-called perception of time, and we can achieve the supernatural state. So by birth, and after reading all these books, and after experiencing practically, and after teaching to many people, and I'm fortunate to be with Patriji for in many occasions in this 18 years of life, in 18 years of my journey, and I have traveled with him personally to Indonesia, Egypt, and all. So I used to have a lot of time and to spend with Patriji, and I'm very much thankful and gratitude for him, and I have learned many things from him. And this is a short journey, and in this journey I have constructed more than 150 pyramids across 3 countries. And I was teaching meditation. I was teaching about the science of pyramids and how to make your own pyramids and all those things. So this is a small introduction about myself. So to understand what is supernatural, first we need to understand what is personality and how it has been created. So to understand what is personality, so we need to start from the from the childhood, how our thoughts has been created, and how we have been collecting all those thoughts from the hostile environment. From the day when we're born, we don't know that that we are in the body, and we don't know that we are and we don't have any thoughts, and we don't have even any emotions. When there is no thought, no feeling, no emotions, no belief system, no attitudes, no behavior, no perceptions, anything. And while the child starts growing up, you know, the initially, whenever the child's want milk, or it's when it wants to change the diaper, you don't know, you don't have the idea. It has you know it have a thought, and it will feel discomfortable. And the moment when the child becomes discomfortable and she starts crying, and when the baby starts crying, mother comes and have and child will have the mother's attention in terms of feeding or in terms of changing diaper and all. And after repeating this kind of thing, whenever the baby feel discomfortable and starts crying, and when the child start repeating this kind of behavior, and child will understand if something has to be changed, if something has to be to make me some comfortable, I have to cry. What happens, and that is how the child first thought arrives. Whenever I want something to be changed, whenever I want something, I have to ask. So that is how the thoughts will start generating in the brain, in the mind. And the moment one thought arises, automatically what happens in the brain is the neurocircuits will form. And after the neurocircuits are formed, it starts developing, brain starts creating some chemical reaction, and through your spinal cord it reaches the whole body, and the very first thought will get conditioned in the body, and mind and body itself has become a mind for that thought. And when the baby starts growing up, it start observing what is happening around it, what is how the baby is being treated by the parents, by grandparents, or by the other family members, because everybody has their own way of approach, their own way of expressing love, their own way of expressing anger. And baby try to learn many things, what is happening in the family, what is happening in the society. And when the child starts growing up, it goes to the school, and it will try to play with the children's. And if teachers are appreciating, she will the baby will the small child will learn how to be happy and how to react it. And when the children or the teacher or the family members, when they are showing some anger towards the baby, and it will learn how to get frightened. And it will that creates, whenever a baby starts growing and whenever babies start um, learning negativity and positivity from the society, and that creates what is it that creates different kinds of thoughts. And because of different kinds of thoughts, and repeatedly when this child is exposed to same kind of behavior, what is happening around her, and that will become a that will become a feeling in the body. When you are keep on exposing the same kind of behavior, and that behavior, the same kind of information what we are seeing around in the hostel environment. So the child will be collecting all those information in the sense, behaviors, thoughts, and actions, and whatever the reactions, and whatever the people are talking around them. All this information will be collected, and that will all this information will create neurocircuits in the brain. And when the child from 0 to 7, its subconscious mind is completely open, and it doesn't have any analytical thinking and any analytical mind. So whatever she gets the information from the society, from the environment around her, that straight away becomes a subconscious mind programming. The moment it's get the moment subconscious mind programming is created, that gets conditioned in the body. When it is getting conditioned, automatically what happens, whenever a thought comes, automatically body generates a feeling. So by the chemical reaction, what has happened in the brain, happened in the brain to the neurocircuits which have been formed through the thoughts. And that chemical, the chemicals which are generated in the brain, that is nothing but a neurotransmitter. That is nothing but messengers. That messengers is carrying the exact intention of the thought, and that intention has been conditioned in the body, and finally body get conditioned to the thoughts, and body itself will become a mind. And when you are keep on repeating these thoughts, this thoughts and feeling, and when you're getting a feeling, automatically brain starts observing what is happening in the body. And when the brain start observing, automatically it triggers the associated memories which are related to that feeling, which you have been collecting across your life. And when it starts start triggering associated memories, the intensity of feeling in the body will become double, triple. It will start magnifying many times. And when it starts happening many times, that will, after a few days or few months, that particular thought, feeling will become an emotion in the body. And after magnifying the emotions regularly, and when you're under the shower, when you're exposing yourself in the same kind of emotions regularly, that will turn into a habit, and that habit will become an attitude. And when you are repeating this attitude regularly, and when you are showing this attitude regularly, when you are undergoing different kinds of emotions related to that attitude regularly, that will become your belief system. And whatever is there in your belief system, and that belief system will be your perception towards anything. For example, if a child is studying at maybe a first standard in the school, so when a teacher asks that student, for the upcoming annual day, you have to sing a song, and that small child will be very happy to take this opportunity, and she goes to the home, and she tells, the child tells to the parents that I have to sing a song, so teach me a very nice song. So the parents will try to have taught the child a nice song. An annual day has come, and she was ready to perform on the stage. After getting on the stage, and before so standing before the mic in front of thousands of students and parents, somehow the child is not able to pick up the lyrics, and teachers have been observing for next 10 seconds. She could not able to pick up the lyrics, and from the back one teacher came, lift that child, and have taken and left the child in the corner of the stage. That's it. In that moment, based on the parenting, or based on the information what that particular child has collected from the day when she was born to that state, there are two possibilities of that. One possibility is, if the student has taken that situation in a negative way, she would the conversation will be like this: I could not able to perform, I could not able to stand in front of thousands of people. I think I should get more training. I mean, I'm not ready to perform. And after a series of dialogues, what is happening in the internal mind, what happens, that makes that child to become powerless, and it loses its confidence. So when it is undergoing that kind of negative conversation within the mind, the very fresh conversation will create again a new neurocircuits in the brain. And when it's keep on the child keep on thinking about all these things, the neurocircuits which have been formed in the brain will become more stronger. The more the more stronger, it means that more conditioning. The more conditioning, and you have very less conscious control on it. And when you have less very conscious control on it, then automatically subconscious mind will keep on repeating this kind of things, this kind of conversation again and again and again without any control. So in the same situation, if that child parenting was very good and she has been exposed to many moral ethics and many moral stories, or a very good kind of parenting and good kind of teaching, that child will start developing a positive attitude, and she will be very positive, and she will be start taking everything in a in a very positive. So in that condition, in that situation, if child start thinking, okay, I should have, I will perform next time. So this somehow I missed, forgot the lyrics. I think if I was given, if I was given a chance, I would have performed very well. Now I remember everything. So when she is thinking like that, automatically that creates a positive vibration, positive vibes, and it starts keep on traveling throughout the universe. And some maybe some teacher or some principal, she may get a thought, let us give one more opportunity to this child, let her perform. So like that, she will get a chance. She goes onto the stage, and in front of the thousands of people, she starts giving her performance in a very exuberant way, in a very positive way. And the moment after completion of the song, when she gets appreciation from all the parents or the teachers, automatically she will become powerful, and she will get more confidence, and she will try to she has a confidence to face anything in her life. And that kind of small positive attitude, that seed was planted, that experience will create a wonderful start for her, for that child, to face anything, to learn anything in life, and to make her life more positive way. That situation, when she undergoes similar kind of situations, positive incidents in her life, from the day 1 to till 7, everything goes direct straight to the subconscious mind. And after the age of 7, and she will start developing an analytical mind slowly. And after developing analytical mind, and that slowly the children, that small child will start thinking, and it will not receive information straight away and send straight away that information to the subconscious mind. Now this analytical mind has been created, and it is a bridge between the conscious mind and subconscious mind. Previously, below the age of 7, there is no concept called conscious mind. There is nothing called conscious mind, only subconscious mind. From the age of after the age of 7 or 8, she start developing an analytical mind, and whatever the information she received through these 5 senses from the environment, she starts analyzing it, and she will try to based on the information she collected from 0 to 7, and she try to analyze with that perception, with that belief system, with that attitudes, with that behaviors, everything. And based on that, she will try to learn from the environment. And over a period of time, say something like 25, 30, 35, something like that, our mind is completely framed. Our mind is completely developed. And that mind is nothing but a bundle of thoughts, bundle of emotions, bundle of attitudes, bundle of behaviors, bundle of belief system, and bundle of perceptions. And all this knowledge, all this information will make that particular child or boy or man or woman, whoever it may be, will become limited. Because the environment, what we see around us is not a positive, maybe partially positive, but most of the time is hostile. And in this hostile environment, we have been collecting a lot of information through the 5 senses. Once Patriji said, when I had an opportunity to spend with him in Bali, he said, "You are nothing but the information what you carry in your mind. You have become that." So, before at the time of when you were born, you don't have anything called personality. And over a period of time, by seeing the environment, you have taken many things personally, and the things which you have taken personally has become your personality. It may be good or bad, it doesn't matter. So, and the personality has been conditioned in every cell of your body. Every cell has got its own concept. It has got its own individuality, as we have our own individuality. Similarly, there are more than 100 trillion cells in the physical body, and every cell has got its own individuality. When you go and ask any single cell, do you know me? It does not. It does not know who you are. But all the cells, this more than 100 trillion cells in the body, will work like a community. Will work like a army. Whatever the instruction you give, whatever the condition you feel in the body, automatically that the instruction has been given something like a government order to the every cell, that you have to behave like this. For example, if you go to a doctor and doctor says something like, for example, based on your blood report, if he says that you have become a diabetic, that moment the moment you hear this news from the doctor, immediately you start believing it. You don't even analyze, because you have you believe the doctor. That's why you go there for a solution. When the doctor says diabetes is incurable, it is a chronic, and they have to take medicine for lifelong, and he keeps on keeping a bundle of instructions. All this bundle of instructions will directly get into your subconscious mind, and the moment it get into your subconscious mind, it start giving instruction to every cell of your body by creating a neurocircuits in the brain. And from that neurocircuits, it creates a feeling in your body. And when you're caught in the loop of thinking and feeling and thinking, and finally that leads to the emotion. And when you develop that emotion, you are giving instruction to the epigenetics in every cell of your body. And epigenetics will receive the information, it will receive the intention of you that diabetes is incurable, and that epigenetics will process and gives orders to the genes to create a protein which exactly represents the intention of your mind, and that protein will generate everywhere in the body. The whole body is nothing but a protein. The whole body has been conditioned with your intentions. And even though there is no diabetes, just because you believed the doctor, it means that doctor is an information in the environment. According from your point of view, the instructions of the doctor is just the information in the environment, and you have taken that information and you have been processing, because you believe what others says. And body, even though body does not have any diabetes, in every cell will try to create diabetes. Every cell has got a capacity to transmute. For example, if you don't have if you are having some calcium deficiency, when you sit in meditation and when you instruct yourself that I have to become very healthy, whatever there is a lack in the body, I mean in terms of nutrition or whatever, and that cell in the body will transmute from cell to that nutrition, and the whole body will become completely healthy. So that is the impact you can create in the body just by thought. Whether you believe it happened, whether you don't believe it happened. So that is the impact you're going to create. So that is your new supernatural natural powers you have. Before when you are born, you are completely supernatural, and over a period of time, you have been addicted to thoughts, you have been addicted to feelings, you have been addicted to emotions, and this addiction will create a attitude and habits, and all these things repeatedly will create a belief system, and finally perception, and all together as nothing but the personality traits. So we have been addicted to a personality. So every personality is unique. It may be a negative or positive. It doesn't matter. Every personality is unique. And over a period of time, when you are caught in this personality, most of your functions, most of your emotional triggers, most of your emotional reactions are governed by the subconscious mind. So, as per the research, every day you're getting almost 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts. In that 70,000 thoughts, in a period of 24 hours, 95% has been governed by the subconscious mind. And all those in most of the 70,000 thoughts, 80% of your thoughts are completely, it's a repeatable. Keep on repeating. The same thoughts what you have day before yesterday, the same thoughts what you have yesterday, it has been repeating today, and it is going to repeat tomorrow and day after tomorrow. And to that extent, you have been programmed. And even you're not even aware that you're having this kind of patterns, this kind of thinking patterns, and you are not even aware, and you are not even aware that you are not aware. So ultimately, 95% of the thoughts has been governed by subconscious mind, and we are not even aware of all those thoughts, and we are only aware of only 5% of conscious thoughts. And thus, so this itself will show to what extent your body is in your control, to what extent your environment is in your control, to what extent your time is in your control. There are three things which are not there in your control. One is body, second is environment, third is time. Body in the sense because of the subconscious mind programming, and based on the information you receive, body has been conditions, and 95% is out of control. Environment means you have been addicted, you have been you know what is it, you have been programmed to listen what others says, and you don't have an analyzing capacity whether it's good or wrong, whether it is useful or not, based on the perception what you have within your system. So that is governing your environment. You don't have any control on listening to the people, whether you have to listen or you don't, whether you should not listen, you don't have any control over it. And because of these two, your time is not in your control. In the sense, your body does not know whether you're in the past or whether you're in the future. Your body reacts only to your thoughts because it has been conditioned, and the body itself has become a mind. So when these three things are not in your control, the whole life is not in your control. And because of this, you create diseases in your body, and because of this, you create hostile situations in your life. And because of this, you are always in the past or somewhere in the future, and you are nowhere, and you don't know what is the present moment. So to have the self mastery, to take control of all these three things, we should know what is negative and what is positive. In order to receive the new knowledge, that transformative knowledge, we need to empty ourselves. We need to understand ourselves. We need to understand how we have been programmed. We have been programmed to become angry. We have been programmed to express angry. We have been programmed to be happy. We have been programmed for every small emotions. We have been programmed. It is good or bad, positive or negative. So if you see this 70,000 thoughts, mostly 70 to 80% are negative. Only 30% are a bit positive. Here we need to discuss about negativity. That is more important, because everybody talk about positive, but nobody talks about negativity. What is negative and how negative is impacting our own thoughts, impacting our own body, impacting our own situations, our own life. Once we understand that, then we know what is negative and how negative we are living. So once we understand that, then the importance or the impact of positivity we can understand. So then we can slowly get into meditation, and then through meditation, we know how to recondition we can understand how to recondition our body, so that to create absolute health in our body. And after doing a series of meditation, then we can create a torsion field around the body, and that helps us to activating all the chakras. We'll go step by step. But before, now I will have a slide share. We'll discuss about negativity. So Patriji has recommended millions of books to read, and there is millions of books. This one of this great author, Tarkam Saradarian, has written more than 130 books, and especially this book, called Self-Actualization, Self-Mastery. If we have to master our life, if we have to master our mind, um, we have to take control of three things. One is the body, environment, and time. When we do this when we conquer all these three things, we can have a self mastery. Once self mastery is achieved, then self actualization is just a next step. So this book especially especially talks about negativity, and what is negativity, and how negative behavior and attitudes are there in every human body, and how it is impacting. So we'll understand what is negativity. Negativity is a state of consciousness that sees only destructive side of every human beings. Everybody has got a plus and minus. Everybody has got a negative and positive. And when we keep on seeing negative things in every human being, it means that people are not negative. It doesn't matter whether they are negative or positive. But from our point of view, when we try to identify negative aspect in other person, it means that our negativity is reflecting in others. So it means that we need to understand that we are negative. It means to understand that we have a negative side of negative face. So we need to understand that. Once we understand that, then we can come out of that negativity. If you don't know what is the problem, we can't find the solution. Negativity itself expresses itself through irritation. So we can literally see ourselves in a given 24 hours of time. 6 hours is gone for sleeping. So we have only 18 hours. In 18 hours, how many times we are getting irritated? When we wake up, if we wake up late in the morning, we get irritated. When we see that the morning tiffin is not being prepared, we get irritated. When we are traveling in traffic, we get irritated. When we get into our workspace, we get irritated because of so many things. And the same irritation we are carrying, and we are keep on developing it. And when we keep on developing it, that become a attitude, or a perception, or a belief system, or whatever. So when we and the same negative, the same irritation we are carrying to the home, and we are expressing that irritation towards our family members. So irritation is one of the character of negativity. When we are more negative, we become very less immune. So automatically, what happens when we are more negative? Our subconscious mind will become a bundle of. Will have a very great bunch of negative programming, and that negative programming will be conditioned in the body, and that leads to blockages of energy centers, all the survival chakras, Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipuraka, and that when those chakras are getting blocked, automatically we are creating diseases. All the chakras, all the survival chakras and related physical parts to that survival chakras are getting blocked, and automatically we are getting diseases. For example, if you are more angry, if you are keep on exposing, we are under exposure of anger situations or anger emotions, and we learn how to become more anger. And when we start expressing more anger, and we start living in that anger emotion, automatically what happen? Our liver get affected. When the liver get affected, digestive system will be disordered, will not happen properly, and gallbladder will not function, and kidneys will not function properly, and ultimately people start developing diabetes. And when diabetes is there, and it is keep on increasing, automatically that affects the eyes, that affects the every part of the body. Ultimately, we'll become we have become a champion of ill health. And negative people like to gossip. Gossip is something like cancer. When we keep on gossip, it means that we are keep on uh, functioning. We keep on thinking about useless things which are there in our life. And gossip can be from the society also, and gossip can be from the TV programs. Nowadays there are gossip reality programs are happening. Gossip channels are there. They talk about all nonsense and all useless things which are not helping us in progressing in life or spiritually. The next fifth point is the negative people like to tell stories about people who are negative. Negative people always make other people worthless. When we when our parents are negative, they express everything in a negative, because when they are negative, their belief system and perception also will become negative. And when they are talking in through their perception, the children is undergone and the children is exposed to the negative hostile environment. Automatically children will become negative. Similarly, when our boss in our in business, when they are negative, automatically the subordinates also will develop a negative thoughts, and the communication between this boss and the subordinates will be collapsed and will be damaged, and that leads to all misunderstandings, and that leads to there is no proper business, or there is no proper parent. Another sign of negative people is to dig for the weaknesses of other people. People always try to identify uh, others' weaknesses, and they try to manipulate. Negativity also comes from the sense of worthlessness. Whenever we feel powerless, whenever we feel worthless, and we try to the same negativity it will be appeared in others, and and we see worthlessness in everybody, and we feel everybody is worthless because we don't understand that we are worthless, that we are carrying the emotion of worthlessness. Remembering the opportunities that you have lost in the past, you turn negative. Whenever you uh, think about the lost opportunities which have been some 10 years back, and you keep, even today also, you people keep some people keep on telling, I'm supposed to, well, I got an opportunity to do this business, but I have in those times I could not take the right decision, so I could not make it. So when you keep on talking about that, what happened, that will create a habit, and that create a attitude. And what happens when that happens, and even when the opportunities are knocking your door, even today, in the present moment, you are not able to see all those attitudes. You are not able to see all those opportunities. You are not able to realize that opportunity. Third thing is negative people friendship is always negative. Yes, when we are when we want to do a business, and if we want to do a success, when we want to attain a success in the business, it is always better to have a friendship with the people who are already success, so that we can learn something from them. If you are if you want to attain a success in life or success in business, and having a negative people's friendship, that is not going to help you, that is going to only drag you. Negative people always see things that are wrong in you, and make you eventually identify with your own errors. Generally, if any thoughts getting keep on repeated, we will be addicted to that thought. Similarly, when we identify people with their errors and with their mistakes, and when we keep on identifying, and when we keep on repeating this behavior, what happens? The other people start feeling worthless. The other people start identifying themselves with their mistakes, and they will become victimized. So how to overcome the negativity? So the moment we understand, our brain start and our mind starts understanding this is the negativity what we are carrying, and the moment we understand that this negativity should be removed, that should be overcome from this negativity, what happened? The immediate action will be taken. When you understand that it's worthless to hold all this negativity, to be exposed to this negative hostile environment, we will our mind will help us to uh, pull our thoughts, or pull that particular negative mind from our system. So to become very positive, or to overcome the negativity, first of all, we have to become you have to increase your joy. There are two things: happiness and joy. Happiness is something, which can be attained through your physical senses. Joy is something when you understand the whole, the complete you, when you understand that you are not the body. Joy is something like, from the perspective of soul. Happiness is something like, from the perspective of biological identity. So when we need to understand, second point is we need to understand what is the consequences of being negative, or we need to explain to the people what will be the consequences of being negative. Then we can come out of all those things. And third thing is we need to discuss negativity very openly, which nobody does. Negativity, what an individual person is having, what the family is having, negative side or weaknesses. Because the moment we talk about negativity, there is a chance to identify ourselves, that to what extent then we are carrying that negativity, and to what extent it is impacting our day-to-day health, and to what extent it is impacting our environment in different situations, and in what extent it is uh, impacting in terms of interpersonal relationships and all those things. And we need to understand, and we need to realize uh, the causes of negativity. We have to we have to identify the root cause of negativity within ourselves. And when we identify that root cause, we can we can remove that root, so that that particular emotion will be completely deleted from the system, or we can make that particular emotion as a worthless or a powerless. When you see that a person acting negatively, tell him or her the positive side of situation, how things can be done positively. If we have a breakdown in life, or or in others' life, we can follow a few steps. First, stop what you're doing. Stop reacting to that situation. When we have a breakdown, just take a deep breath and just relax, and let us understand what has happened, and why it has been happened. Let us understand what we have misunderstood, or any other miscommunications are there. So once we identify that, then we can identify the solution. The moment you identify the solution, the moment you realize the solution, take immediate action. That's it. So when you do this, then every breakdown will transform into a breakthrough. Try to show him or her the bright side of the things. When we see the the positive aspect of everything instead of seeing negative aspect, then we can easily then we need not be trapped into the negative side. Teach people admiration. You have to be wholehearted. It cannot be when you are negative, your expression of emotions will be egocentric. When you are positive, the expression of your emotion will be heart centric. The heart centric means you will be appreciating people wholeheartedly, not partially, not for the sake of some benefit. You're going to create joy and ecstasy to conquer negativity. Only when you create a joy, only when you are heart centered, automatically you can conquer your negativity. So how to create positivity? Recognizing, identifying the negativity within you, and admit, just accept it, whatever the negativity within you, and you have been creating that negativity without your conscious mind, and you have been created that negativity you know, by through your subconscious programming. So when you understand this, your consciousness will expand. So when you understand that negativity is completely ruling and it is completely impacting your life, then we can understand, and slowly what happened, our conscious mind will become from 5% to 10% and keep on expanding. So we need to understand that the programming in your subconscious mind is really not helping you, because it has been programmed in a wrong way without your conscious mind. And when we understand that, and when we start doing meditation, automatically this conscious mind will keep on expanding. When you are expanding your consciousness, and when you are realizing, when you are attentive to every action you take, what happens, there will be a lot of resistance will come from your mind, because for the last 30-40 years you have been programmed. And when you say this programming is wrong, the programming will not be erased from your system. It will keep resisting you. It will try to convince you. It will try to that your program will try to justify that it's right. So when and we should not keep we should not fall trap to that, all those resistances. When you are sitting in meditation, initially body will not cooperate. It means that there is a resistance from the body. But the same body will help you while you're watching a movie for 3 hours, because there you have been programmed to watch the movie for 3 hours, so that body will not object you. But when you are doing meditation, body will try to pull you back. It means that body is programmed. So there you have to push yourself for at least for 21 days. So when you push yourself for minimum 21 days, that is enough to create a new habit to the body. That is enough to create a new tuning. It means that you are tuning your body to sit for a long time. So when you teach your body how to sit for how to be calm while you're doing meditation, then your body will help you. Then your mind will help you. When you teach body, automatically mind is programmed, body is programmed, and your mind and body will help you to sit for meditation for long. When you're in that in meditation, then you can take control of your mind, your body, your environment, and your time. And when you conquer all these three things, then you can create a present moment in your life, living in the moment. When you are living in that moment, it means that you're not identified yourself with your past. You're not identifying yourself with your position. You're not identifying yourself with the things what you're holding. You're not identifying yourself with your body. When you are in the present moment, it means that you're coming out of your biological identity. When you are coming out of your biological identity, you will appear yourself, you will identify yourself as a pure awareness. With a pure awareness. That pure awareness is nothing but the pure consciousness. When you are in that pure consciousness level, it means that you can access the quantum field within you. The other names of quantum field is a universe. We can say, like, in Indian terminology, you can say the God, and in Western terminology, you can say the quantum field, or a 0 point, or universal intelligence, or whatever. So when you are in the state of accessing your quantum field within you, it means that you can access anything in this universe. In the infinite spectrum of electromagnetic field, there are two things. Two things are there. One is visible light, and the second one is invisible light. Whatever you see this with this through this physical eyes is nothing but the visible light. With this eye, you can see only 7 different colors of light. That is the rainbow colors, and the combination of that 7 colors can be seen. But invisible light is there. Invisible light that can be seen with your third eye. For example, radio frequencies. And you can't see that radio frequency with your physical eyes. You need some radio transmitter. And when you tune to the different frequencies with that radio transmitter, you can catch up the different frequencies and you can access the information. You can listen the songs or news or whatever. Similarly, there are many things like something like gamma rays, X-ray, ultraviolet ray, to name few. But there are many things which we don't know, many things which our physical senses cannot understand. And there are infinite dimensions out there, there are infinite frequencies out there. With this physical eyes, we are able to access only one frequency. The same frequency you are accessing, that's why whatever I am talking, you're listening. So when we tune our third eye, when we trigger our pineal gland, what happened? We can have an access to all infinite frequencies, and infinite frequencies has got infinite energy, and infinite energy has got infinite information. Every energy has got information. That is how many people, many yogis, through the regular practice of meditation, they can see invisible things, and they can speak to the invisible masters. They can visit the invisible dimensions, and they can get the invisible information. And after accessing all these things, people are collecting a lot of knowledge and writing millions of books. Especially Tarkam Saradarian. He has visited through his third eye. He has seen some intuitional worlds, and just he has spent only 1 second in that intuitional world, and he has written 1,000 pages book. Just 1 second of we accessing one intuitional world and collecting that information. That information can be translated to 1,000 pages. That much amount of knowledge is there, which is there in our quantum field, which is just waiting for us. Only thing is we are not able to access that. The way to access is first start doing meditation, and slowly we can conquer our 3 elements: body, environment, and time. When we do these 3 things, we get self-mastery, and game starts.
Thank you, Mr. Vamsi. It was great hearing you.
Thank you, Masters. Thank you, Shanli. Thank you, Chandu.